Captain Jack Sparrow is my favourite fictional character, so naturally I've injected a lot of elements of him into the Dungeons & Dragons characters that I play, but today I'm going to be creating a full build to represent him. Before we get into the build, I want to go over the particular areas of the character that I'm going to be focusing on throughout the video. The first area is Jack's ability to improvise and to plan exceptionally well. Throughout the films, we see him use information to his advantage in order to constantly stay ahead of everyone else. He's able to use this to formulate plans extremely quickly, which makes him an incredible escape artist. I think this is best shown when he escapes from the guards at the beginning of On Stranger Tides. You can see him formulate a plan in his mind. The chair, chandelier and curtain seem irrelevant to everyone else, but to Jack Sparrow they are a clear route to the exit. So I want to try and find a way to build that in somewhere, probably in the Homebrew Ability. Then there is Jack's combat ability. He is a very competent swordsman and a crack shot with his flintlock, but I don't want to go overboard with this. While I think in terms of his aim with a pistol, he's one of the most skilled characters in the franchise, with a sword he's definitely good, but I think people like Will Turner and Barbossa are a bit better. But what sets Jack apart is his ability to take advantage of his surroundings, as well as distracting and positioning his opponents, which is perfectly showcased in his duel with Will in the blacksmith shop. Finally is Jack's charismatic and manipulative nature. In almost any situation he gets into, he's able to talk his way out of it, or at the very least stall for time. Shown in the films when he does things like use his knowledge of Will's heritage as leverage over Barbossa in order to avoid being killed. So I'm going to add in some high charisma abilities and possibly some enchantment spells to represent this. Jack's race is as straightforward as you could imagine. He's a human. Although Pirates of the Caribbean doesn't really feature any other fantasy races, so you could make an argument that another race is a better representation of the character. But in the case of Jack Sparrow, I've always liked that he isn't inherently magic or exceptionally strong, he just gets by on his cunning and his willpower. As a human, we get +1 to ability scores, as well as the feat, all of which I will talk about later on. Now, for Jack's class levels, I've started, as I'm sure you could guess, with Rogue, and I will be putting 3 levels into it. This will give us the feature Expertise, which I will cover later on, as well as Thieves' Cant. Then the feature Sneak Attack, which gives us the potential to deal more damage in combat, and Cunning Action, which generally helps with survivability when fighting. Finally, at 3rd level, we get a Roguish Archetype. Thief and Inquisitive could work, but I think there are better options. Mastermind seems like the best choice, but it really depends on what level you're going to be playing at. As I mentioned in my Loki video, Mastermind doesn't really get good until you hit level 9. If you're wanting to take the character that high, then by all means Mastermind is a good choice, but I'm keeping the character on the lower end, so I will be using Swashbuckler from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. This gives us the ability Fancy Footwork, protecting us against opportunity attacks from creatures we are engaged with, and Rakish Audacity, making us so confident that we get a boost to initiative, and more opportunities to use sneak attacks, which fits with the style of Jack Sparrow brilliantly. Next, I'm going to be putting 2 levels into Bard, which will give some spells I will cover later on, as well as Bardic Inspiration and Song of Rest. These have the potential to be useful, but aren't really what the multiclass is for. The main benefit of the Bard levels will be Jack of all trades, which gives us half proficiency in anything we are not proficient in, helping to cover Jack's wealth of skills. If you're planning on taking the character further than this, then I would recommend putting any additional levels that you get into Rogue. For equipment, we will be using the Rogue starting options, giving us leather armour, 2 daggers and some thieves' tools. We will take a rapier, which is about as close to a cutlass as we can get, and then we are given the option of a short bow, which could be used to represent the pistol, but if you're playing in a game that features guns, then just take a flintlock instead. Finally, we will take a burglar's pack. Naturally, I've also decided to create a homebrew version of Jack's compass, but I've gone quite vague with its actual rules. It works just like in the films, it points you to the thing that you want most, but this is the sort of thing that can only work if you're playing with a dungeon master that understands your character quite well. Generally, we play with things like this compass that can point to what you want, or we use amulets that can tell the future. It's a good way for a dungeon master to give information to the players to help set them on the right path in the story. So really, this is something for the dungeon master to make use of throughout the campaign, as they will be telling you where the compass is pointing, and they can use it to guide the party or give you information. Now for spells, we get some from our 2 bard levels. Jack as a character doesn't know any spells, but I'm going to pick some to try and represent his other abilities. Mainly, they will be enchantment spells to cover his charismatic nature. First of all are the cantrips Friends and Vicious Mockery. Then the level 1 spells Bane, Charm Person, Detect Magic, Disguise Self, and Tasha's Hideous Laughter. For the ability scores, we will want to focus on Charisma for spellcasting and skills, then Dexterity for combat and stealth purposes. Next, we will need Intelligence and Wisdom, again mainly for skills, and finally Strength and Constitution won't be very important. Naturally, when it comes to the choice of background, there are a fair few options that could fit perfectly well for Jack Sparrow. Charlatan and Criminal are some standout options, but with Captain Jack Sparrow being the great pirate he is, the sailor option with the pirate variant is of course what I'm going for. The personality traits I went for are on screen, and for alignment, I would say Jack sits in chaotic neutral. You could argue that there are times when he acts morally, like when he gives up his chance at immortality to save Will, but really these are small blips in his track record. He does have a soft spot when it comes to Will Turner, but overall Jack Sparrow is out for himself. As a sailor, we get the skills Athletics and Perception, as well as 4 more from our Rogue class, for which I took Deception, Persuasion, Sleight of Hand, and Stealth. Finally, for our level multiclassed into Bard, we get another skill, and I would suggest taking History. Now, because of our Rogue levels, we also get to choose 2 of these to gain expertise in, for which I would recommend Deception and Persuasion. For ability score increases, I think that the feat Lucky is a good option and lines up well with Jack as a character. For any additional increases past this, Skulker and Observant are good options, or you could just put the points into Charisma and Dexterity. For Jack's Homebrew Ability, I wanted to create something that could represent Jack's underdog nature and ability to turn impossible situations around when things look to be at their worst. The ability is called The Best Pirate You've Ever Seen, and can be used once per long rest, but only when the character is below half health. The ability can be used as a bonus action and lasts until the end of your next turn. While active, the ability gives Jack advantage in all attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks, and any opponent's disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws made against him. This ability essentially allows short bursts where the character will be able to pull off seemingly impossible things, such as using a sail to escape Davy Jones, or making an incredible shot with a pistol or rifle. Hopefully with this ability, you'll be able to replicate some of the more ridiculous things that Jack Sparrow is capable of. That's the character done. As always, there is a character sheet in the description if you'd like to see that. And be sure to let me know in the comments if you have any other characters that you'd like to see me make builds for.